Well, hello, Smokin here with a semifinal matchup in the King of the Beta Invitational Tournament between Raytional and PewQ. The winner of this best of three semifinals matchup will go on to the finals of the tournament to face either La Hopa or Ghost Bomb for the right to be crowned the winner of this invitational. That will be a best of 5 match. This one's best of 3. Remember that each player has submitted 3 decks for this matchup, and let's take a look and see what they have chosen to play with. Raytional, well known for playing lots of energy, and it's no surprise to see him playing energy in his first match here. He is playing his patented mono energy ranged build, a deck he's probably been tinkering with since the very beginning of beta, if I know him at all. Couple of Desperations, couple of Potion of Resistance, couple of Ecomatons to complement the general mono energy ranged shell built, of course, around Bombard, Piercing, and lots of other strong ranged units. Looking over at PewQ's deck, we see the same deck he did so well against Magpie Man with, his Curse Control build featuring Halls of Lhasa. Of course, this deck also features Cursed Presence as well as the really strong 3 to 5 drop slots for the Decay resource, with the Rot Eaters and the Harvesters and the Blight Bearers and the Curse Mongers and the Oblivion Seekers and things like that. Lots of strong stuff on both sides, and let's get straight to it. Raytional has a really strong opening hand, has a 1-drop into a 2-drop into a 3-drop, so he'll have lots of stuff on the board early. Looking into PewQ's opening hand, he's got a 2 into a 3, so he'll be able to respond in kind if he chooses to do so. Raytional sacrifices a Thunder Surge to go up to Hired Smuggler resources. 2 creatures on the board already, Dust Runner controlling the middle of the field. PewQ's turn now, and he actually sacrifices his 2-drop, so he's choosing not to play anything out on the board yet, rather choosing to build up his hand and his resource count. Storm Runner comes down for Raytional, so his field is really strongly populated. PewQ can't play anything safely on the board now. So Raytional predicting a Soul Steal from PewQ, but he does not oblige and actually sacrifices his Rot Eater too. So PewQ choosing not to play anything out, instead letting his opponent do all the heavy lifting early on. Raytional is more than happy to continue populating the board, drops a Cannonetta out there, passes the turn back to PewQ, who will need to start doing something in the near future, lest Raytional completely gain control already in this matchup. Infectious Blight is the play, targeted on the Hired Smuggler, so it will die before it gets another shot off. Note the Raytional plays out a Forge. He doesn't play it all the way in the front, so he can defend it, and gets 1 idle damage in off his Dust Runner. That Forge is going to be a pain for PewQ to deal with. He'll probably need a Cursed Presence to take it out. 2 Bloodline Taints in hand, though, if he chooses to play them, but nope, still happy to just take his time, plays an Oblivion Seeker to the top, lets PewQ get a little bit of idle damage in, the Hired Smuggler pops, the Infectious Blight goes over to the Cannonetta. Ironclad Reaver played out behind, very strong scroll, lots of health, lots of damage, good value for a 5-cost unit. Another Rot Eater sacrifice for PewQ, and he plays out a Bloodline Tate, cursing all of the humans. They all are cursed now. Cannonetta will pop right away. Storm Runner could get some damage on this Oblivion Seeker. Bombard in hand for Raytional, pitches his Ecomaton, finds Spark and Potion of Resistance. Actually sparks his own unit, and of course the reason he did that was to get rid of the Infectious Blight. So now that will no longer be spreading. He also uses his remaining resources to pump up the Automaton Forge, and so he will get a free gun auto to spawn. Moves his Ironclad Reaver actually away from the Oblivion Seeker as well as his Storm Runner, letting PewQ have a little bit of the middle if he so chooses to move in there. Oblivion Seeker is so good at just filling space and just being really frustrating for the opponent to kill. Brain Lice comes down on the Cursed Ironclad Reaver, so it will die in 2 turns. Well, make that one turn. Cursed Presence will be enough to finish it off right away before it gets a chance to trigger its Pillage effect. It pops to 7 poison damage, drawing PewQ a scroll. Raytional goes up to 6 resources and is content just to play out another Gun Automaton from his Forge. Storm Runner moved back to safety, and the gun auto pops where probably Raytional wanted it, nicely in front there to defend these units. Halls of Lhasa in hand for PewQ, one of the strongest scrolls in the game right now. I feel it really is extremely powerful if your opponent is not playing any anti-lingering. Basically, it's a draw 3 for 6. Raytional sacrifices for scrolls, moves his gun auto up, pumps out another gun auto, so he is effectively not committing anything from his hand to the board, instead just making PewQ deal with the free stuff that's coming out of the Forge. Let's see if PewQ can find a way to deal with that. Of course, Halls of Umlasa provides lots of free stuff every turn, a free scroll, and importantly from your graveyard, which is arguably better than pulling from your deck, because you can reuse your most powerful effects turn after turn after turn, things like Necrogeddon and Brain Lice and Bloodline Taint and things like that. Speaking of Bloodline Taint, it is able to curse all these gun automatons, allowing Oblivion Seeker to take out one, Brain Lice to take out another, so PewQ is able to counter the free units by cursing them all and expending minimal resources to take most of them out. Raytional has done some idle damage and is now looking for a way to clamp down on PewQ before he can get his card advantage engine fully up and running. Gravelock Elder comes in to help with that. PewQ, drawing another scroll out of his graveyard, has the Baleful Witch but pitches it, finds another Halls, and then drops another Brain Lice that will take out the Stormrunner. Infectious Blight comes down as well, all of this poison damage, killing everything that Raytional has thanks to that curse effect, and the Infectious Blight moves over to the Gravelock Elder. Raytional says so much poison, and he is right, it is everywhere. Gravelock Elder number 2 comes down, so buffs them both up to 4 attack and 6 health. PewQ's turn now, choosing between his Sift here. Picks, I didn't quite see what he picked, maybe it was that Baleful Witch. Sacrifices now for resources up to 9 on round 11 with still a full hand. Bloodline Taint played again, and that curses all of these Gravelocks. Baleful Witch comes down to deal them lots of damage each. They each take 2, and then the Oblivion Seeker finishes off the front one. So just the Gravelock Elder in front are remaining, but then it pops to Infectious Blight, which then moves over to the Gun Auto. Excellent use of Curse and Infectious Blight by PewQ. Ironclad Reaver and Cannonette are looking to change the game still. Raytional is certainly not out of it. He's fallen a little bit behind, but he is actually pulled a little bit ahead on board. So PewQ has managed to keep parity. Let's see if he can start to clamp down now that he's got a second Halls in play. Cursemonger comes down, just a Harvester in hand on 10 decay right now. 10 decay. Alright, turn back over to Raytional. Going to sacrifice his Potion of Resistance, finds Machinated and Gun Auto. Looks like he's going to pump out another gun from his Forge. And let's see how he positions his units here. Moves one gun up to take out the Oblivion Seeker, drawing PewQ from some scrolls. Ironclad Reaver moves up to threaten the Cursemonger, defend it as best he can. And spawns another gun. Back over to PewQ, sifting out of his graveyard again. Could grab that Halls for future investment if he chooses to. Raytional saying he should have ran Stone Enigma, something you would want if you're expecting to play against this Halls. Languid comes down, cantripping of course, another Languid in hand. Soulsteel isn't particularly useful right now, but Languid will make that Ironclad Reaver much less threatening. PewQ still on 7 resources even after the double Languid, chooses to play out a Blightbearer, and will we see Harvester come down as well? Indeed we do, likely behind the Cursemonger, no, actually in front of the Cursemonger, so he's really invested in getting that Cursemonger to get 1 attack off. Raytional's turn now, sacrifices a burn, something you don't want to do usually, but when you have Machinated and Bombard in hand and are looking to finish things off, can't hardly blame him. Lots of stuff is coming in off that Bombard play, movement all over the board. Looks like he's going to take out everything that PewQ has on board. All of it is going to perish. Does a little bit of idle damage too. Poisons his own gun autos, but it seems to be worth it to clear the board and let's see if he can ride this advantage right now. PewQ is certainly not out of it, but needs to find a way to take out all of these units in an economical fashion. Has the resources to do it, now just needs to find the scrolls. Finds a couple of Blightbearers, some utility, and a Soulsteel. Soulsteel is decent right now, could take out this top gun auto. But Witch Doctor and Blightbearer are the play instead, so he's solidifying the super strong Witch Doctor wall at the bottom. Infectious Blight moves over to the Machinated Cannonetta. Raytional would love to find another Bombard here if he can. This turn he might Violent Dispersal the Witch Doctor, or he might wait till next turn when it's a more imminent threat. Looks like he's going to wait, pumps down the Forge, plays out an Ekamaton. Good use of his resources there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units on the board now, or 8 creatures on the board for Raytional. PewQ needs to find lots of answers and quickly. Baleful Witch is a good start there if he can get some curse to go with it, especially Bloodline Taint. But instead he's just finding Soulsteels and Oblivion Seekers. Does play out the Curse Presence on that Cannonetta, so it will die before it gets an attack off. Oblivion Seeker comes down to defend the Witch Doctor, still has 4 resources to play with, and chooses to play out another Blightbearer. Quite the human/undead wall erected here on these bottom 3 idols. but this is also a lot of damage coming in. Note the Desperation in hand that combos well with the Canonetta, gets it up to 4 attack. But instead he plays it on his gun auto, which has Infectious Blight on it, and will take out this Blight Bearer. Violent Dispersal takes out the Witch Doctor, allowing these units to die without giving PewQ any more advantage than necessary. A little bit of idle damage done, and not a bad round by Raytional. Back over to PewQ, who still has those 2 Soul Steals. Pitches 1 now, finds Languid and Harvester. A big Harvester attack might be key to making this comeback for PewQ. Languid weakens another gun automaton and plays out an Oblivion Seeker still on 4 resources. And uses those 4 resources to play out Blight Bearer number 2, so he's got 1 in the 2nd row, 1 on the 4th row, ready to get some attacks off finally. A couple of units pop from poison. Raytional sacrifices for scrolls, plays out a 2nd forge. Think about how much advantage Raytional has gotten all game out of this forge. How many gun autos has he spawned? 7? 8, something like that, in the last 17 rounds. Tremendous advantage out of this structure for only 3 cost initially. Super strong, especially against Decay. Ekamaton is up to 3 attack and will be able to do some work. Intelligent play by Raytional there. Notice that he sparked the Blight Bearer and moved all of his units off that row, so that poisoned only PewQ's units. Of course, it's an Oblivion Seeker, which PewQ is okay with losing, but, well, at some point you gotta kill him if you're Raytional. And another gun auto is spawned. Another one on the board. Oblivion Seeker perishes, and here's that spawn down back behind. PewQ's turn just has the Blight Bearer and the Oblivion Seeker, neither are attacking. Sacrifices, finds Necrogeddon in hand. Interesting. Brain Lice comes down on the Ekamaton. Has a couple of Harvesters he could play out. We see one come down in the middle. No, I'm sorry. Actually, he plays it up to the top middle. And then what's his other play here? Soul Steal to take out the about to attack gun automaton, and finds a Mire Shambler safely tucked away behind his Harvester. Ironclad Reaver, still getting some attacks off. Burn, Oculus Cannon, Machinated. No Bombard in hand, though. Machinated comes down on the Canonetta, makes it another threat. Burn played on the Blight Bearer, so that'll take out both units and deal some idle damage as well. Gun auto played from the hand rather than the forge this time, and 2 damage to one idle, 1 damage to the middle idle, and the turn passed over to PewQ. Keeping an eye on idle health, looks like PewQ hasn't really done much. He's playing for the late game, whereas Raytional is slowly wearing everything down while PewQ just desperately tries to stay, to stay ahead of his opponent, but he's having a hard time doing it. Watcher will help get some of that idle damage up. A 2nd Watcher played as well. Looks like he might play for a massive multi-unit into Necrogeddon play next turn and try to clear his opponent's board while dealing tremendous idle damage. Ekamaton pops from poison. Nothing currently attacking this round other than just 1 gun automaton for Raytional. Oculus Cannon comes down to defend the middle idle. Also has the resources for a Tempest Reaver played out in front. That's a lot of units, a lot of armor in this middle. It's going to be really tough to get through. But can PewQ do it? Will he pull off a double crazy Necrogeddon play? Or will he just Soul Steal something and get a Harvester attack off to take out a Forge? Looks like we see a 3rd Harvester come down. What's his next play here? This will be telling. Soul Steal it is. Takes out the Canonetta. Finds a Mire Shambler and allows the Harvester to attack. Cursemonger comes down as well. Look at all of these units that PewQ's been able to spawn. And where did all of this card advantage and resource advantage come from? Well, if you think back a few rounds ago, remember when PewQ had 2 Oblivion Seekers on the board, Raytional had to make the choice. Do you just allow them to constantly attack every other turn, or do you finally kill them? He decided to kill them. Plus 4 cards for PewQ when you're on 11 resources means you can play out everything from your hand, and you're going to have a really big hand to fill the board with. So that's where all that advantage came from a few turns ago. Infectious Blight goes to the Tempest Reaver. Raytional finds another Forge, is going to get to deal some combat damage here, plays the Forge, a replacement Forge to the top, pumps it down immediately twice, so it'll spawn a gun next turn. 2 damage to a Harvester, 2 damage to a Cursemonger, and then piercing damage comes in and kills a Mire Shambler and drops the middle idol back to 2. Raytional predicts that this turn is going to hurt, and he may be right. Damning Curse, this is what's going to do it. That triggers 2 Harvesters down. That's 18 relentless damage coming in. And PewQ still has more to do. Brain Lice comes down, that'll take out the Tempest Reaver. Ilmire Tribesman played defensively. This is a ton of damage. That's going to take out both forges. This may be the turnaround point. Another Harvester ready to attack, and PewQ still has that Necro in hand. Raytional finally finds those bombards. They were buried on the bottom of his deck. Has to invest a Violent Dispersal. 6 resources to kill a 3-resource Harvester, and plays out a Dust Runner. PewQ can now make his decision. What does he want to do here? He is going to play out a Cursed Presence on the Ironclad Reaver. That Infectious Blight still spreading. That's going to take it out. Let's see. Curse 2 on the Oculus Cannon. I didn't see what caught. Oh, that must have come from the Cursemonger. And then Oblivion Seeker played in front of the Watcher. And an Ilmire Rot Eater played back behind safely as well. Tons of units on the board, still waiting for the big Necrogeddon pop. Meanwhile, everything of Raytional's is popping to poison damage over and over and over again. He's got Stormrunner Machinated Bombard, so this could do some good damage here. And it looks like that's what he's going to do. So he's going to take out quite a bit of PewQ's stuff. He's going to kill a Harvester, 3 units here, including that Watcher, and take out the middle idol. So nice play by Raytional. Takes a giant chunk out of PewQ's army with the Stormrunner Machinated Bombard combo. But of course, that just triggered the 3rd Harvester. So that's going to be a ton of combat damage coming in. Necrogeddon still in hand. Halls comes out for PewQ. This means that starting next turn, if he wants, he can Necrogeddon every single turn, continuing to pull the Necrogeddon out of the graveyard with the Halls of Umlasa. That's really difficult for decks to keep up with when that Necrogeddon continues to stream in. Thunder Surge, though, might be key in stopping that if Raytional predicts that is a potential thing that might happen. He does save the Thunder Surge, and plays out a Forge and a Gravelock Elder. PewQ has his choice of cards from his graveyard. What does he pick here? He picks the Harvester. Okay, on 11 resources, moves his Rot Eater to the middle, Tribesman to the middle. Here comes the Necrogeddon. Tons of damage comes off that Watcher, takes out 2 idols, and guess what? That's actually going to be the game because of where that random idol damage fell. He is able to finish it off with the husks on top. Of course, with that many husks spawning, no matter where the damage went, there's a good chance that PewQ is going to be able to finish it off. So very well done by both players, but congratulations to PewQ for taking Game 1. Make sure you check out Game 2. We'll be following on the YouTube channel as well. Thank you for watching. This has been Smogan with the King of the Beta Invitational.